You live in a world where financial fraud is common, where schemes go bust and people's lives are wrecked, and where investors are seduced by claims of big profits and little risk. As you watch, con artists rise and fall, taking advantage of the gullibility and greed of their victims, and regulators struggle to apprehend and put an end to them. Either directly or indirectly, these scams impact the entire world community, including you. However, are you aware of these scams' beginnings and background? What is the name of the man who gave them their name? And what is his story? In just a few months, how did he con thousands of people and earn millions of dollars? Are you aware of the methods used to expose, prosecute, and punish him? This is the tale of Charles Ponzi, the global con artist and financial fool. A tale of greed, trickery, and deceit. A narrative about a basic concept that evolved into a worldwide phenomenon and then into a calamity. A narrative guaranteed to astound, surprise, and motivate you. This is the tale of Ponzi, the world-scamming financial idiot. The beginning. A dreamer with a scheme. Charles Ponzi was a young Italian immigrant who came to Boston, Massachusetts in 1903 with the goal of becoming well-known and wealthy. He had a natural ability to conduct business, a charming demeanor, and fluency in both French and English. But he also had a weakness. He was avaricious and dishonest. His involvement in a number of dubious activities quickly spread, including gambling, check forging, and the smuggling of illegal immigrants. For his crimes, he served several years in prison in both the US and Canada. A recipe for success. The Ponzi scheme, a brilliant idea, was discovered in 1919 by Charles Ponzi, who is now free. He found a way around the international postal system, which involved trading postal reply coupons for money. These coupons functioned as vouchers that could be exchanged for stamps at predetermined rates in various nations. Ponzi came to the realization that he could purchase these coupons at a discount in nations with weak currencies and resell them for a profit in nations with strong currencies, like the US. He chose to reveal his trade secret to the public after claiming he could profit 400% from this arbitrage. With the securities exchange company he founded, he promised investors a 50% return in 45 days or a 100% return in 90 days. He gave them the assurance that his plan was safe and legal, and that he had operatives working for him all over the world. To further establish his legitimacy, he also presented them with forged letters and documents. He drew in hundreds of investors who, expecting to make a fortune, gave him their savings with great anticipation. They received their promised returns from Ponzi using the funds from new investors. A portion of the money was also reinvested by him in his business, which he used to hire employees, grow, and purchase an opulent office. His notoriety grew throughout the nation after he rose to fame in Boston. He was living a high life, earning millions of dollars a day. He purchased a limo, a mansion, and pricey suits. In addition, he wed Rose Necco, a stunning woman who loved him. The fall of the price of power, the collapse of Charles Ponzi's scam, began in 1920. The postal authorities looked into Ponzi's claims and discovered that he was lying, so they became one of his enemies and challenges. They exposed the fact that he had no agents and that there were insufficient postal reply coupons in use to fund his scheme. Additionally, they made public his criminal history and the fact that he owed money to his prior victims. Press. They examined Ponzi's enterprise and released pieces casting doubt on his veracity and integrity. They discovered his past transgressions as well as his ties to the underworld. They urged people to take their money out of his scheme and warned the public about the risks involved. Asterisk, the bankers. They made Ponzi repay his loans instead of giving him more credit. They also attempted to take control of his assets and freeze his accounts. They feared that if his plan failed, it would spark a financial panic. Asterisk, the regulators. They filed a fraud lawsuit against Ponzi and charged him with breaking securities laws. They also conducted an office raid and took him and his associates into custody. In addition to trying to prosecute him, they attempted to get the money back that he had stolen from his investors. The aftereffects of shame. The deceptive scheme Charles Ponzi was exposed as a fraud in 1920 after his scheme crashed. He was given a 5-year sentence in federal prison after entering a guilty plea to mail fraud. He was also given a 9-year prison sentence after being found guilty of state charges. 1934 saw his deportation to Italy, where he lived in abject poverty and obscurity. He passed away in 1949 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, at a charitable hospital. Ponzi's scam left destruction and suffering in its wake. He had stolen the life savings, homes, and dignity of thousands of investors by deceiving them. Along with harming the public's trust and confidence, he had also tarnished the financial system's stability and reputation. In addition, he had left behind a name that would always be connected to deception and a legacy of shame. There were other schemes of this type before and after Ponzi. Many con artists have used his name and followed his lead to trick gullible people into falling into their traps. Several of the most well-known instances include Bernard Madoff. He defrauded thousands of investors, including celebrities, charities, and banks, out of billions of dollars over the course of a decades-long Ponzi scheme. After being discovered in 2008, he received a 150-year prison term. Alan Stanford. He operated a Ponzi scheme in which he sold fictitious certificates of deposit and scammed billions of dollars from thousands of investors, most of whom were from Latin America. He was found out in 2009 and given a 110-year prison term. Robert Vesco. He operated a Ponzi scheme in which he stole millions of dollars from thousands of investors, including politicians, celebrities, and corporations. The scheme involved looting a mutual fund. After leaving the US in 1973, he lived as a fugitive in several other nations until his passing in 2007. In summary, the narrative surrounding Charles Ponzi's past is one of deceit, manipulation, and greed. It tells the tale of how a straightforward concept became a worldwide phenomenon and how the phenomenon descended into catastrophe. It's the tale of how, for better or ill, a scam altered the course of history. It tells the tale of how human hopes and realities can be reflected in a scam.